Hey guys, it's Kelsey. I'm back with another scrapbooking process video, and this is the final layout for Avery's baby album. I thought there was going to be a couple more pages, but I realized when I went through his birthday photos that a lot of the photos were of Marcus and Avery and Bennett, which were meant to go in my album, so I moved those photos over. So now the photos I have for Avery's album is basically Avery and my sister, which is Mommy, and then the whole group picture of all their little friends that came over. I decided on this one because I blew this photo up to be a 5x7, thinking this bigger picture would have its own page, and then I would have a bunch of miscellaneous smaller photos as a companion page. Well, once I realized that I didn't really take any other pictures, and these were the only two that I had, I decided to incorporate them together in one page. But the size difference was so awkward, without doing kind of what I like to do with these and do like a big kind of collage with the photos, I decided to stack them and mat them together in the shape of a birthday cake. This is his first birthday, so I thought it would be cool if I could incorporate the birthday cake design using the photos. If I would have thought about this ahead of time, I probably wouldn't have had that 5x7 as big as it was. I think proportionally it looks really nice for the birthday cake. But I really wanted to do a lot of fun layers around this cake, and because it is bigger, I didn't really have a lot of room to do that. I am using my 1 Canoe 2 Twilight. I have been hoarding these final papers like my life depends on it. And you will see multiple times where I pull in the moth paper, which is like my favorite paper that I've been hoarding, thinking I was going to use it on this page, but in the end I don't use it, so I still will have another 1 Canoe 2 Twilight layout to do when I finally make myself use the moth paper. I really was going to use it initially. You can see it there. I thought about it being the background paper, because I just really want whatever page I do with that moth paper for you to really be able to see it. But I was worried with how big the photos were. It was going to cover up a lot of it, and that the colors in the papers will really get muddled with the kind of busier moth patterns. That's when I brought in this wood grain from my wood grain paper pad and decided to use that as my background instead. That way I could kind of layer and have a more neutral palette and things aren't going to look too busy. I just think with trying to do this birthday cake mat on top of a busy pattern, it would just get lost. So I still hope at this point I can use that moth paper at some point on this page, but I could not make myself cut into it for just a small bit. I really want to use that paper as a whole, so it gets set to the side and doesn't get used. I found, I recently got my Black Friday Freckled Fawn grab bag, like wood veneer grab bag in, and they had these little wood veneer banners, and I thought if I clipped the arrow off it looked like a candle. So I'm going to use that wood veneer as my candle, and then I really wanted to incorporate some kind of flame so you could really see that it's a candle. So I pulled in some Felicity Jane kind of starburst looking sequins and layered up a couple of them to go behind that candle so it looks like it was lit, and I think that's really cute. I don't know at this point if I'm going to leave the wood veneer raw or not. I knew one of the things I really wanted to incorporate was my wood veneer number 1. You guys saw me use a couple of those during my wedding photos to do dates and stuff. But I still have the 1, and I figure this is his first birthday. It'd be cool to have the title just be that number. But it is bothering me that the wood veneer is raw now that I have a couple layers down. I'm using a couple of the cut apart tags. I'm using a scrap of the constellation to do a banner in each of those sections, and I think those are nice little bases for those clusters. But the wood veneer is really sticking out in a weird way, so I ended up deciding to mat everything or ink everything in this navy, and I decided to color the wood veneer with the navy as well. So I like how everything was laying. I'm going to go ahead and trim these fishtail banners, and I'm just inking everything as I go. This is the Recollections archival pigment ink in, I don't know if there's a color on here. There has to be a color, I'm sure. It's dark blue is what it's called. My mom gave me that ink and I really like that color blue, so I'm just trying to get that color kind of throughout. I think inking the papers in blue kind of give it a more finished touch as well. Avery is a boy, but I do use a lot of pink papers for him. I think it's just because he's a little ginger baby and his skin tone is more that pink undertone. I think it just looks good, but Little Avery. He's going to have so many pink layouts in his book. By the way, this is the final layout for him, as I've mentioned. So I will be doing a flip through of his baby album before I wrap it for Christmas. So you guys will see that this month too. My sister does not watch my YouTube unless I post it on my Facebook. And so I'm just not going to post that on my Facebook. So she won't see it. But either way, I think it'll be fun to flip through that with you guys before I send it off, because I never did that with Avery's baby album and I kind of wish I did. And I might do that live as well if I can schedule a time for it, if you guys would prefer it live. Otherwise, I'll just record it and post it like a normal video. But yeah, so here I'm kind of re-gluing everything down, and I'm trying to figure out where I want this number 1 positioned for the little title cluster. And I decided I wanted it to the right side of that tag. That way that kind of peachy tone tag is kind of anchored by the banner and that number 1. I think that looks really cute. I am going to thread some gold and white twine through both of those tags. I don't think I've done that yet. I'm really just trying to compose all of these layers that I have so far. So I'm going to go ahead and glue down these little sequins that are supposed to be the candle flame. And then I will get my little candle wood veneer down. That worked out really well. I was kind of worried when I got that little wood veneer pack. I wasn't quite sure how I was going to use those, but I think it works really well as a little candle. So now that I have both my clusters down, I'm going to go ahead and thread the twine. I do want a third cluster in the upper right hand corner, but I kind of want it to be smaller. I definitely want all the colors to be up there, but I don't want it to be too distracting. And I remembered I had my hashtag sticker book that coordinates with the Twilight collection. So I decided to just pull in a bunch of little stickers to layer together to create that little cluster, which is one of my favorite things to do with the sticker book, because they give you such a wide range of sizes and colors that coordinate that it's really easy to just compose a cluster just with stickers. And I haven't done that in a really long time, since I really don't have a lot of One Canoe 2 anymore. So I'll get to do that on this page, which ends up being a lot of fun. So here you can see my sticker book. I decided to add a little banner that says Good Vibes Only with a couple gold stars. I do want little pops of gold on this layout. So I do add that to the cluster up to the left of the photos. And now I'm just going through and trying to see what else I want to do. You can see me kind of sticking a couple options on my scissors to the right there. So I have kind of a light pink border strip. I have a medium pink banner, that kind of darker pinky red remember sticker. I have kind of that same constellation pattern in a circle, and I'm just trying to figure out how I can cluster these together to make a cute little cluster. So I take this little border strip, I cut it into 2 and have like kind of 2 strips there, and then I layer that navy circle, then the banner, and then the little remember, which I move around a little bit until I like where it sits. But I think that's just a fun little cluster up there, and I love piling stickers like that. And then I go back for more gold stars. I kind of want to cluster 3 gold stars in each of my 3 clusters as my finishing element instead of enamel dots or Nouveau drops. So I'm just going to use those gold stars instead. I was thinking at first I might have like a gold title, but then once I decided I really wanted to just use that wood veneer as the title, it's pretty obvious it's his first birthday. There's a birthday cake and a number 1, and so I think that makes sense. And this is also the last book in his baby album for Bennett and Avery. I did basically their whole first year. So both of their books, the final page is the first birthday party. So here's some extra stars in my 3rd cluster just to round it out. And then I was kind of thinking, I really like the subtleness of the wood veneer background, and but I just thought it needed a little something. So I do go in and add some gold Heidi Swap color shine. And I really wanted more layers here. So I did just add a little glassine bag to the 1 cluster. I really wanted to add more to the other clusters too. And I think if I hadn't glued down that wood veneer number 1 with really strong glue, I would have attempted to layer another glassine bag in this other cluster as well. But I didn't want to risk breaking that wood veneer because it's the only one I have, or tearing the paper, because I liked how everything was looking. But I did decide to go in with this one scrap that I had and kind of do a drop shadow look. I did round the top edges of the birthday cake with my corner rounder just so for some interesting kind of corners so it wasn't so blocky. So I'm going in with this strip and doing a corner punch round and just like doing this drop shadow effect where I'm tucking this layer in the right hand side of the birthday cake. And I like the extra layer and the extra color that adds because it was just looking way too plain. It was kind of unnecessary, but I kind of think it looks really cool. And I'm so low in this Twilight paper pad that anytime I can use these little scraps, I'm trying to. So I think that was a fun little extra thing that I've never tried before. I feel like I have done this birthday cake design before. Maybe I did it for Bennett too, but I think this was a fun way to kind of incorporate that. So I'm adding my Heidi Swapp Color Shine. And then here are the close-ups. Unfortunately, I edit on my phone with iMovie and I can't blur the photos during the video. But I did just blur these solid pictures so when they go on Instagram, you can't see the guests just because I don't know if they'd want their kids' pictures up. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.